So I wake up this morning and I can't figure out what the hell I'm going to be talking about today. I'm like going through my notes. I've got like lists of different topics that I could do, and I'm just not feeling any of them, you know? I'm just like looking at them, and they all are sensible topics, but I'm just like not in the mood. And, I'm trying to figure out something that you guys would be interested in, something that I would be interested in, something that would be of value, right? And to tell the truth, since I wasn't really feeling it, I was sort of like almost spinning my wheels kind of thing. I spent like almost an hour just going through the different topics and not coming to anything, not lighting on a subject. You know, I just didn't really feel like talking, to tell you the truth. That's rare for me. I always feel like talking. I just like to talk. I'm a talkative guy. I've got verborea, call it whatever you want to call it. I like talking. And to tell you the truth, talking has gotten me into more trouble than I can remember. Because a lot of times, see, when you're talking, you're just digging a hole for yourself. A lot of times just talking is not going to help your cause. In point of fact, it's going to hurt it. I did a video similar to this called "The Secret to a Long Life is Knowing When It's Time to Go." You can find it right here. In that video, I basically said that you always have to know when to leave the party. You always have to know when you should leave so that you want them wanting more. Same thing with talking. You talk too much and you're just going to bore people. You talk too much and just say too many things, and they're just, it's that, not that they just want to speak, it's that they're just going to get tired of you, okay? Because in most human communications, it's basically like bowling. One guy goes first, and then the other guy goes, and then the first guy goes again, and then the second guy goes again, and so on. Each one taking their turn. The same with conversation. But when you're monopolizing the conversation, the other parties just get impatient because it's like their fucking turn. They want to get their 2 cents in. They want to show that they're smart. Because you got to understand, see, communication between people often is not. It's not that they're exchanging information per se, but they're rather trying to shore up their position within the group. A lot of times people are going to be talking so as to, impress on others, on the people around them listening to them, that they're so smart or so important or so this, that, the other, some positive quality that people have, that they have, that the speaker has. That's why they're talking, so that you understand how important they are. When you don't let other people talk because you're talking about whatever, even if it's something very, very important and fascinating and this, that, the other, well, when you don't let them talk, they feel that you don't take them as important as they take themselves. You see what I'm saying? When you sort of like monopolize the conversation, they think that you think little of them. And it's true. Try this experiment. When you're talking to a group of people, right? You're talking to a group of people, and do the following. Only ask them questions that will evoke answers from them, long answers from them, and try to keep your questions as short as possible. Things like, oh, what did you do yesterday? Oh, that was a terrible problem. How did you handle it? Make it open-ended questions. Open-ended questions so that the person you're speaking to can just fill in the space. You know what's going to happen? They're going to think you're wonderful. That's what's going to happen. If you just give them an open-ended question and let them talk and talk and talk and talk, if you shut up and let the other guy talk to his heart's content, he's going to think that you're aces. Yeah, he's going to think that you are just so great. You're such a great guy, and you're so intelligent. Yeah, if you keep as quiet as possible and just keep on egging them along with just short, brief little questions that are as open-ended as you can possibly make them, and try to get the other guy to talk to you, what's going to happen is that they are going to think that you are fascinating, that you're a wonderful guy. And they won't know you because you're not talking. You're shutting up. You're shutting up and just encouraging them to talk to their heart's content, giving them all the rope that they need, letting them talk and talk and talk and talk. They're going to think you're wonderful. They're going to think you're wonderful, and they're going to want to be your best friend. A thing that happens to a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys when they're young, when they don't know any better, when they don't have much insofar as accomplishments, real accomplishments, is that they wind up talking a lot. It's a natural thing. Now, I'm just naturally talkative, and even, I'm 50, but when I was younger, it was fucking worse. I would just never end, right? Because it was a combination of my natural inclination to talk a lot and also my insecurity. My insecurity, I didn't feel very confident in who I was. So I wanted to talk and talk and talk so as to convince the people around me that I was worthwhile. You see? And it's a natural thing that happens to all young guys. You find yourself in the position that you're talking a mile a minute about whatever you find interesting. Chances are, number one, nobody else finds it interesting. And number two, the real reason you're talking about this thing is to show your mastery over this particular topic, or to show how clever you are, or to otherwise basically shill yourself. And that's what you're doing. You're shilling yourself when you talk. When you talk to people, you are trying to convince them that you're wonderful. And see, it's hard to make that kind of a sale. It's hard to convince people that you're wonderful. It's much easier to get them to think you're wonderful by you asking them questions, by you basically ceding the stage to them, just stepping aside and letting them talk to their heart's content. Yeah. And that's how they'll think that you're wonderful, even though you don't say a fucking thing. There's another truism at play, of course. People naturally find quiet people fascinating. People naturally, and almost like a reflex, think that somebody who's very quiet must have a lot going on underneath. There must be a lot of things going on in their heads. I mean, they're so quiet, right? All kinds of deep thoughts must be going through their heads, right? Right, that's what most people think. That's what I used to think, as a matter of fact. Insofar as girls, quiet girls, I always used to think that quiet girls must be so deep and profound and interesting and this, that, the other. No, they're not interesting. They're just boring. Yeah, that's the truth of it. That's the truth of the matter. See? Quiet people, for the most part, are boring people. And you might be one, that's perfectly fine, okay? There's nothing wrong with being not a particularly interesting person, okay? That's not important in the scheme of life. What's important is that you get what you want out of life. That's what's fucking important, not whether you are entertaining in some cocktail party, right? Right. But going back to the issue of being quiet, see? People who are quiet are, more often than not, people who are just not very interesting. But people who are quiet project to other people, especially talkative people, this mystique, an allure of being very profound. See? And so if you are quiet and you simply limit yourself to asking somebody about themselves, they're going to find you fascinating. They're going to find you riveting. And it might be boring for you. Come on, it's going to be boring as fuck, right? You're sitting there listening to somebody talk and talk and talk. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes, a lot of times, you're going to need to do that. You're going to need to suck it up and be bored out of your skull by listening to some windbag go on and on and on, and you keeping zip about something that you find fascinating. Maybe you find anime fascinating, or baseball, or TV shows, or movies, or whatever the fuck you find interesting. You see, the other person you're talking to, they will not find it interesting, or certainly not as interesting as talking about themselves. You see what I mean? So that's why you have to just shut up. You got to know when to shut up. You got to know when to shut up. And so the crux of the matter, when do you shut up? Very simple. The question isn't when do you shut up? You shut up all the time. The question is, when do you speak? When do you offer information about yourself, either about your past or your opinions or whatever, the knowledge that you might have of some topic or other? When is it that you speak? That's the question. And the answer to it is very simple. You speak when the other people are truly interested. You shut up the rest of the time. It's actually very difficult. It demands a great deal of discipline. And let me get into that. See, if you're a normal guy, you want to talk about yourself. If you're a normal guy, you want to talk about all the things that you know, the things that you've experienced, the things that you've thought about the world or about a particular topic, your work, your hobby, whatever. You want to talk about it. It's normal to want to talk about something like that, right? Of course. But to have the self-discipline to shut the fuck up and not say a fucking thing, except when people really and truly want to know. Oh, that's like a fucking superpower, for crying out loud. If you can keep your mouth shut, especially among people who matter insofar as your life, that is, possible clients, possible bosses, possible colleagues who can help you out in your career, your profession, whatever. To be able to have the self-discipline to shut up, not say a fucking thing, except when people are just staring at you and they really and truly want to know. That's incredibly difficult, but it brings incredible rewards. Because what happens is that, see, if people are waiting for you to talk and they're like staring at you, waiting for you because they've asked something from you, they've asked for your experience or your opinion or your knowledge about something, they're going to get into a Pavlovian kind of feedback loop, especially if you talk rarely, whereby they will pay strict attention to whatever it is you have to say, and they will think the world of what you have to say, even if they disagree with you. Because see, most people realize that most people want to talk, like to talk. And so when somebody doesn't talk, and it's like pulling teeth to get them to talk, pulling teeth to get them to give an opinion, they're going to value that opinion even when they don't agree with it. And the fact of the matter is, if the opinion is so rare that when it finally comes out, it is contrary to what other people are saying, you know what's going to happen? The other people listening to you are going to reconsider their opinion. That's right. The less you talk, the more valuable what you have to say becomes. Supply and demand, baby. It's simple. It's very simple. And of course, when I was young, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it at all. It's only when I got a lot older that I realized it. Only when I got a lot older that I gained the discipline to be able to shut the fuck up and listen to other people and get them to talk with open-ended questions and only give my judgment reluctantly. Now, I only do this in just a few situations because, quite frankly, just my natural need to talk makes it practically impossible in most venues of my life. But there are a couple of key situations with a few key people where I do shut the fuck up. I'm like a totally different guy, right? Because I recognize that in those situations, I have to shut up because it hurts my situation, my position. It hurts my objectives to open my mouth and just be as loquacious as I usually am. So you gotta know when those times come around. You gotta know when you gotta just shut the fuck up. See what I'm saying? Now, of course, some people are gonna say, well, by being that, I'm not being myself. Nobody is themselves. I did a fucking video on it. You can find it right here. Nobody is themselves. We are all playing a role. Shakespeare said it, all the world's a stage and we are merely players, right? Or words to the effect. We are constantly on stage portraying to be somebody that we really aren't. We're players. We're actors. That's what we're doing. See? And so the issue becomes, of course, do you want to be a successful actor that gets what he wants? Do you want to be a successful player who achieves the things that he desires? Or do you want to be some schmuck who just talks and talks and talks and never gets anything that he ever wanted? Huh? Which is it going to be?